Bethesda have been very secretive about the Starfield story. Yes, they've revealed a few details, but overall, Starfield's story is a mystery, mainly because the story is dictated by your choices. There's branching dialogue, over 250,000 lines of dialogue, meaning that there's many things that could go for you, against you, so many different outcomes, so many different consequences, and that will ultimately decide your ending and overall your story. But there's one detail that remains the same across everything. This is the Constellation. Right at the beginning, you'll join the Constellation. This is a faction within game, and it's built up of many different space explorers. This is an essential part to the Starfield story that no matter what choices you make, you'll always be part of the Constellation. So within today's video, we're going to go through absolutely everything that you need to know. So the Constellation is a legendary space exploration organization. By the year 2330, which is the year in which Starfield is set, not many people are familiar with the Constellation. It's become a shadow of its former glory, and that's why they're known as the last group of space explorers. There's several members which we will go over, but their overall goal is answering the question of what's out there. And whilst trying to answer this question, during their exploration, they encountered and excavated pieces of an alien artifact. Now, how does your character come into this? Well, in 2330, you come in contact with an artifact whilst working for Argos extractors. This knocks you out unconscious, and shortly after, you will be invited to join the Constellation by a character known as Barrett. You will then bring the artifact that initially knocked you out back to the Constellation's headquarters, which can be found on the planet Jemison within Alpha Centauri, and the Constellation headquarters is in a major city, not just within the planet Jemison, but a major city within the whole game. This is New Atlantis, and New Atlantis is the largest city within the game, the entirety. And this is where you're introduced to the other members of the Constellation. So let's actually go through them. So firstly, we have Sarah Morgan. Sarah Morgan is the leader. She's an ex-soldier and an adventurer. We then have Barrett. Barrett is an explorer. Barrett was the person that you interacted with after you was knocked unconscious with the artifact. Barrett would be the person that tells you about the Constellation and invites you to join them. Next up, we have Mateo. Not much is known about Mateo, although we do know that he is a theologian. Noel is a gifted scientist and is also Sarah's protege. Following Noel, we then have Sam Coe. Sam Coe is a former space cowboy, descendant of Aquila City, and founder of Solomon Co. We then have Vlad, who is an ex-pirate. We then have Walter, who is a financier. And then finally, we have Vasco. Vasco is not a human, he is in fact a robot. A heavy industrial machine designed by Luna Robotics, but now a member of the Constellation and will help you in your journey. Now, speaking of helping, each of these have the option to be crewmates as well as companions, and there is a difference between the two. Crewmates in themselves will be parts of your crew as you go and fly out into the universe. They will help you, assist you with your ship, and will also assist you with any outposts that you build. All of these will be able to help you and assist within that area, but there's another layer to this, because crewmates do exactly what we just mentioned. They'll help you with your ship, help you with outposts, and you're able to assign them to set positions, and based on their skills will depend on what they're best at doing. They may increase productivity within your outposts, whereas with all of these members as part of the Constellation, they can also be companions, meaning that they're not just limited to your crew on the ship or outpost, but can also join you on various missions, any type of journey for that matter. And this is important because they all have different skills. That's why I try to highlight the various different backgrounds, although some have not been revealed, not to the level in which we would like to know about, but by the time the game is fully released, we will understand what they're best at, their skills, and whether or not we want them to join us on our journeys. For example, we do know Sarah Morgan and Sam Coe, their skills and abilities have been revealed. So Sarah has 4 stars in astrodynamics, 3 stars in lasers, 2 stars in leadership, and 1 star in botany, whereas Sam will have 4 stars in piloting, 3 stars in rifle certification, 2 stars in payloads, and 1 star in geology. If you were to select a companion to join you on a mission and you know that piloting is going to be a key area, you don't really want to select someone such as Sarah because she hasn't got the skills in that area. You're going to want to go with someone like Sam Coe. Unless there's one thing which has been heavily speculated but hasn't actually been confirmed. It is believed that potentially with these characters, you will be able to increase their skills as they carry on performing them. So even though Sam Coe is terrible with geology only being 1 star, as well as there being loads of skills in which he's not even ranked on, so 0 stars, as he continues to perform that activity, gradually they will get better. So maybe you're trying to go with someone such as Sarah Morgan because she's already got a base foundation for the skills that you like, but you want to bring her on missions for things that she's not good at so that as time progresses, she gets better and better and better. Although I do need to highlight that at the minute is mainly just theory and speculation. It has not been confirmed. And you may question, why would you do this? Why would you take someone that's not particularly good in a certain skill area and take them on the mission instead of just taking someone that's better? You can just switch between them. And yes, you could. But there's also another layer to this that we haven't spoken about. Because if you were to build upon your relationship with one of these companions, it also opens the door for there to be romantic options. This has been confirmed to be part of the game, although we don't know exactly what type of content it will unlock. On a surface level, yes, there'll be more dialogue options, but there'll also likely be decisions that you'll have to make which could either improve or negatively affect your relationship. And that will then reflect on any other type of content, whether that changing the trajectory of the story or potentially just side content. Either unlocking more content so that you have more to go through, more backstories that you can play through, that you can learn more about these characters, or might even just take away content because maybe you've upset someone and they no longer want to talk to you. And because they don't want to talk to you, there's certain missions within the main story itself where that character is just missing. We don't know how far this romantic partnership will go within game. All we do know is that they are present in game. And with all of this, there is a lot of focus on the Constellation. The Constellation is not the only faction in the game, and it's certainly not the largest. But based on you joining the Constellation and having to be so close to these people, all of these who will be crew members, companions, potentially even romantic partners. Not every single one will be romantic partners, but there's more as part of this in the Constellation than any other faction in the game. In fact, we don't really know too much about the other factions and how you can interact with them. There are some which are completely off the board, and that's the second that they see you, they will immediately start shooting. So the chances of there being a crewmate, a companion, or anything romantic is extremely slim. And for various characters that we have seen outside of the Constellation that you are able to have as crew members or companions, they don't have nearly as many skills. And most of them will only be crew members. There's no higher level than that. They can either be part of your ship or they can be set to an outpost. It's also worth highlighting, as we're still on the subject of companions and crew members, that there are various skills and traits within the game that if you have them selected for your character, it will improve the efficiency depending who they are. For example, with some traits, if you have a human companion, it will boost certain stats. But that means every single time that you're on a mission or going off on your journey without a human companion, you are negatively affected. These are things you will need to take into consideration with. But this is on a much smaller level and not really too focused on the Constellation. Just thought I would mention it. But anyway, this is absolutely everything that we know about the Constellation as of right now. There's still a lot of unanswered questions, but all of that will be revealed shortly as we're getting very close to release. If you enjoyed this video, then I highly recommend clicking the next video on screen. That video has been specifically selected just for you. No one else is getting it. It is only you. So click that video and I'll be over there to guide you through absolutely everything. I hope you enjoy.